Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LearnBiz The Podcast, another episode. We're always glad to be here with you. I'm Lisa K. Crawford, joined by Miss Sandy B. Good morning, beautiful Sandy B. How are you, sunshine?
Hey, good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Oh, good. We are talking this morning about Colin Kaepernick. Is he an activist or an entrepreneur? How do you see Colin Kaepernick? We know that you may have heard that he recently signed with the Cleveland Browns. He's going to be a backup to Deshaun Watson if something ever happens to the current quarterback, but he's on the team. And so, what do you think about that, Sandy? Do you view him as, another a ball player, or do you view him now as Colin Kaepernick, the activist?
So before I answer your question, let's say shout out to Doug. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning,
Shout out
Doug.
to Rigo. Good morning. Thank you
Good
for joining
morning,
us.
Rigo.
So when I think about Colin Kaepernick, unfortunately for him, football doesn't actually come to mind anymore. And I think part of the reason is because, his actions kind of trickled into some different effects. On the one hand, he did something that I would say many players would not even consider doing, right? But on the other hand, it's like you start to think about what was the result of what he did, and you ask yourself, what was it for, right? Because it's kind of like, what was his motivation going into this process? Because now, when you think of Colin Kaepernick, unfortunately for him in terms of his sports career, the athletics is not what's ringing in your mind. If in particular, if you are, I would think, an owner of a team, there's a lot of things that you're probably thinking about. Now, is it right for you to be thinking about those things? I don't know. I mean, a team is a business, right?
Yeah.
And so you're wanting to think about the productivity of your employees. You're wanting to think about what types of imagery and things that are going to come to mind when your employee is on the job.
Oh,
And I think, unfortunately, he's been marred with this idea that, he's just here to shake things up, right? Then, add insult to injury, he sued the NFL and they ended up having a settlement. But, to me, much like when we were thinking about the Monique situation with Netflix, I don't always feel that once something happens in terms of a settlement, that going and it being employed by the entity that you were suing is going to be as effective as you would think, right? Because if I sue my employer and then I go back and work for my employer, you can imagine that there's a level of friction there. Now, he may find a coach or two that might support what it is that he's looking, to do. He may find some support from some teammates, but he's also going to unfortunately face some backlash. There are going to be some folks that are only going to see him in a certain light. There are going to be some folks that are going to think that, he's going to be a troublemaker, because God forbid you take a knee, or God forbid you take a stance. You know what I mean? But that's the stuff that runs in my mind. I feel like he's kind of a mesh in between, but unfortunately the athletic aspect is not the part that I think about when I think of his name at all.
Wow. So he really is in the activist corner, or in that, that's the frame of view that he's created for a lot of people, because he took that knee during a time when Black Lives Mattered, as it still does. But it was a very popular movement. And he brought that same energy on the football field, taking that knee. Now, my concern is, I wish this was the type of world that, because Colin Kaepernick went through all of that, we will never have another shooting of an unarmed Black man by a white cop. I hope that scenario never happens again in this country. However, this is America. And knowing the place that we live in, that can happen. My concern is, will Colin Kaepernick continue to just play ball now, or will he continue to demonstrate his activism no matter who he's employed by? will he take that knee again? Or did he give it up altogether? That's what I'm concerned about, because he put himself out there in that space. Now, how does he deal with it if it happens again?
I mean, I don't see him doing anything differently personally, because the steps that he took to do everything associated with taking that knee and the resulting lack of ability to play because he was in essence blackballed, um,
Yes.
I don't see that being something that's going to be far from his thoughts if something else pops up and he wants to take a stance. And so that's where I say that he's going to have a bit of difficulty. I mean, he's already coming into the league as a backup. It's not like he's coming in because, they feel that he is going to be the front runner in a sense.
Well, he
Um,
may be. He may end up be. That's that they put him there because he could rise to the top just that quick. If Sean Watson gets hurt or something happens to him, yeah, he'll be there.
well, that's the key word. If somebody gets hurt, and it's kind of like, well, what if they don't get hurt? What is his role going to be at that point? Because it's like you're banking on somebody being out of commission
Yeah,
in order
that's
for
what they
you to have
do.
a role. That's not a role
But
as
that's
far
what
as
they
I'm
do in
concerned.
football because players get hurt all the time. You got to have your backups ready to go.
No, I mean, I understand the concept. I'm just saying that that doesn't tell me that I really want Colin Kaepernick to pay for my team. That tells me that he's here, but that's not a that doesn't make me feel like, oh, Colin Kaepernick's back. Did you
He's
get what I'm
back.
saying? He's there, but that doesn't mean to me, hey, he's a pivotal piece of our team. Now, if something changes, of course, then we'll see what happens. But again, if you look up Colin Kaepernick right now, you're going to see a lot of different things, and it's not really focused on his athletics.
Yeah,
So,
because like I said, he put himself into that activist space. And so now people will be looking at him, especially if something jumps off crazy. People will be looking, how is Colin Kaepernick going to react this time?
so Rigo says, look, the Cleveland Browns have taken the biggest gamble that the NFL league didn't. So let's see how he plays and then go from there. But I'm sure glad to have him back. Go Cleveland Browns. It's always interesting because the Cleveland Browns, based on things that I've remembered over the years, it's been one of those teams that has like a history. And there are some things that about Cleveland, even when you think about basketball and the economy, there's something about Cleveland. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Colin there.
Wait, you're not saying like it's a team of bunch of misfits, are you? Because I mean,
No, I just mean that Cleveland has history. There's always something happening with Cleveland, not in a bad sense, but historically speaking. Because when you think of the Cleveland Browns, there have been some things with that team. When you think of the Cleveland Cavaliers, there have been some great highs and great lows. But history, I think, has been made in Cleveland in a lot of different ways.
oh yeah,
Um,
Cleveland's a good place.
all right,
Go,
well,
go, Ohio, go, Ohio. All
oh Lord,
right,
I
Colin.
forgot I'm dealing with what do you call you guys? An
We're
Ohioan,
the Buckeyes. We're the
not the
Ohio
Buckeyes.
Buckeye. But yeah, I'm so happy for Colin Kaepernick that he's playing for an Ohio team. Go Colin, go Cleveland Browns. We'll see what happens. I just, like I said, I liked him in that space of being an activist, but we'll see what happens as everybody says. So that's it. Activist or entrepreneur, Colin Kaepernick. We'll stay tuned and see what happens. Thank you guys for joining us here on Learn Biz. And Sandy, you going to take us out?
Take you guys out. So guys, don't forget to click the subscribe button, click the like button. Be sure to share this video. You can find us on Instagram at B is for Biz. Check out our recent upload. We talked about the social media app Fanbase, which is a Black owned social media app. And we
Yes.
shared a few things during that stream. But we'll be right back in just a few. We're going to be talking next about your entrepreneur mindset and how to tackle your I don't want to do list. So see you guys in a couple minutes.
See ya.